Hi, welcome to Right to the Top. I'm Adam. In today's video, I'm going to start to look at the essential components of a sentence, notably the clauses and the phrases. We're going to look at the different types of clauses, the different types of phrases. But today, specifically, we're going to begin with the clause, and we're going to look at what is a clause, okay? You may have heard me say many times in the past that a clause is a group of words with a subject and a verb. That is a simple look at a clause. Today we're going to look at it a little bit more completely. We're going to look at subjects and predicates and explain what these are, look at some examples, how they apply and how you can recognize them to improve your writing skills, but also to help you with your reading. So when you have complex sentences, you know how to break them up and just put all the information in its clauses and make sure you understand what is being given to you, okay? So let's start with the clause types. There are independent clauses, and every sentence in English must have an independent clause. This is the clause that basically carries the central message of the sentence, and it can stand by itself as a sentence. It has a complete idea. Everything else is basically added onto it, including the dependent clauses, or the phrases, etc., the modifiers. So that's the second type of clause, is the dependent. Sometimes it's called the subordinate clause. These are the noun clauses, adjective clauses, and adverb clauses, and the complement clauses, which are usually one of the other three. And we're going to look at these in separate videos, okay? Now, it's important to understand that a sentence can have multiple clauses. Every sentence must have an independent clause, but then you also have compound sentences, complex sentences that have an extra independent clause or dependent clauses and any number of these, okay? It's also very important to understand that clauses can include other clauses inside them in their different functions, okay? So that's the essential introduction. Now, before we get into a little bit more deeply what is a clause, it's very important to understand what a sentence fragment is and what a run-on sentence is, okay? A sentence fragment does not have a complete independent clause. Something is missing. Either the subject is missing or the predicate is missing. And we're going to look at predicates in a moment. A run-on sentence has too many independent clauses. It has two or three or more, but it doesn't have the conjunctions that join them or the punctuation that joins them, like semicolon or colon, okay? So what you want to avoid is having sentence fragments and run-on sentences. And especially if those of you taking a test like TOEFL, IELTS, or whatever, this will actually cost you points if you have these types of problems in your writing. Okay, now, what is a clause? Let's get down to the basics. So it's a group of words that includes a subject and a predicate. Now, before I said it includes a subject and a verb. A verb is called a simple predicate. If all you have is a subject and a verb, then you have a simple predicate, and this could be a complete sentence. But more often than not, it is not enough. A complete predicate includes the verb plus whatever other element or other elements are necessary to complete the meaning of the verb in relation to the subject, right? So these other elements could be an object or an adverb or a complement. They could be in the form of phrases, modifiers, dependent clauses, or any combination of these. So essentially, you have these types of clauses, okay? You have your subject verb, SV, subject verb, and that's all you need. You have a complete idea in a complete sentence, no problem. Other types of clauses are SVO, where you must have an object, that's the O, direct or indirect, and I'll talk about that in a moment. Subject complement, and then again, all of this depends on the type of verb you're using, and we're going to look at that in a moment. The subject complement completes the meaning of the subject, or adverb, subject, verb, and adverb and ending to complete the meaning of the verb. The adverb could be an adverb word, simple adverb directly, or it could be a phrase, or it could be another clause, etc. And then you have combinations. You may have two objects. You may have an object and an adverb, or two adverbs, or any sort of these combinations. Now, many sentences must have these other elements in order to be complete. And if you're missing something, if you're missing the object, or if you're missing the adverb, you don't have a complete sentence, and you don't have a complete clause In that case, you don't have a complete sentence and you have a sentence fragment, which I mentioned before, okay? So let's look at all of these individually. Subject verb, sometimes that's all you need. Birds fly. It's a very general statement. So what do birds do? Birds fly. Subject verb. Subject birds, fly verb. You don't need anything else. You have a complete idea, okay? Now, other sentences might, or other clauses, I should say, might need a direct or indirect object. Now, keep in mind that all clauses, whether they're dependent or independent, need a predicate. Now, direct or indirect. The thing to remember here is what type of verb are you using, okay? And this is very important when, especially in writing. Make sure you understand the nature of your verb, okay? Is it transitive, intransitive, or ambitransitive? If it's transitive, it must take an object to be complete. If it's intransitive, it doesn't need an object. It may need something else like an adverb, but it doesn't need an object. And if something looks like an object, not necessarily. We'll talk about that. If it's a be verb or a linking verb, it doesn't take an object. It takes a complement, okay? Now, a direct object answers the questions what or whom about the verb, and the verb and the object together tell you something about the subject. That's the nature of the predicate. An indirect object tells you to, for, or with whom or what, okay? So, and all of these modify the verb, modify the transitive verb. So here's your basic construction. Subject, transitive verb, object, direct or indirect, okay? Pilots, subject, operate, verb, operate what? Mechanical airplanes. So airplanes is the object of the verb operate, and operate airplanes is the predicate to the subject pilots. Now, mechanical is just a modifier for airplanes. You can take it out, you can leave it in. That's not necessary to the predicate, but the verb and the object are necessary. Pilots give. So subject, pilots, give, verb, give what? Instructions. To whom? To the flight attendants. You have a direct object, you have an indirect object. And the full complete predicate is give instructions to the flight attendants. You need all of this information about the pilots to have the complete sentence and the complete clause, as the case may be. Now, you can add other things to the beginning or end and change the meaning, but this is your subject predicate construction that is necessary to convey the message you're trying to convey, okay? Okay, so now let's look at the subject, verb, subject complement. So when you're using be verbs or linking verbs, now linking verbs are verbs that look like action verbs, but there's no action involved. What they are doing is they are linking, they're joining the subject and the predicate or the complement that comes after the verb. So it modifies the subject. It still answers the question what or whom, but about the subject, not about the verb, okay? So pilots are obviously not afraid of heights. Pilots are not afraid of heights. Of heights tells you about afraid, completes the meaning of afraid. It's a prepositional phrase as a complement to afraid. Technically, you say pilots are not afraid. This is a complete sentence. Now, if you want to give more details to get more specific, you add the of heights. They may be afraid of spiders, I don't know, but they're obviously not afraid of heights because they go thousands of feet in the air. Now, pilots seem brave. Seem is a linking verb. There is no action involved here. It's just joining the subject and the complement brave. The complement could be noun, adjective, etc. Now, all of this is actually being very simple. You understand very clearly in these examples what the subject is. A lot of people have a hard time identifying the subject of a clause or the subject of a sentence. I have a video about that specifically you should watch if this is difficult for you. Subjects can be all types of things. Complements can be all types of things. Objects can be all types of things. Nouns, noun phrases, compound nouns, noun clauses, infinitives, prepositional phrases, all types of things can be subjects and objects. So make sure you watch that video to understand. Now, lastly, subject plus intransitive verb, a verb that does not take an object, but it does need some other information to be complete. So if an object answers what or whom, the adverb answers where, when, how, why, or whatever other questions come up that are necessary to answer. So pilots fly. Okay, this is your clause, subject and verb. It's enough information. It could be a complete sentence about what is a pilot? What do pilots do? But if you want to give specific information, when do they fly? So pilots fly during all hours of the day and night. So during all hours of the day and night, this is a prepositional phrase, and this is used as an adverb to answer the question when about the verb fly. And together, fly during all hours, this is your predicate, tells you something about pilots, your subject. And then you have a complete meaning, a complete message that you want to express. Now, if you only say pilots fly, that's fine, but it doesn't give me the information that you need that will link to the next sentence or to the previous sentence, or it doesn't convey enough information to make your message of the overall essay or the paragraph understood. So you must make sure that your clauses are complete with subject and complete predicate to have a complete meaning that you want to express. Okay? Now, here's some combinations. Subject, verb, object, and predicate complement. The complement to the entire predicate as an adverb. Pilots employ. Employ here means use, not like give a job to. Pilots employ or pilots use a variety of tools. This is a complete clause, a complete subject and predicate, but I need more information. They employ a variety of tools to ensure the safety of their passengers and plane. So you can say pilots employ to ensure doesn't make sense. So to ensure the safety of, this is a infinitive phrase used to answer the question why. So why do they employ a variety of tools? So it's not just the verb employ, it's about the whole predicate. Employ a variety of tools. Why? To ensure. So make sure that everything is complete, everything has enough information so the reader or the listener can get your message clearly. Subject, verb, adverb, adverb. Pilots train. Okay. How long? For years. Why? To be qualified. So 4 years tells you how long they train. To be qualified tells you why they train. Train for years to be qualified is your complete predicate about the subject's pilots. Okay. I hope all this is clear, but basically you need to have complete information in order to get a complete message to the reader. Subject, verb, to object. Remember that a noun clause can be an object. The teacher told his students, so told to whom? His students, indirect object. What did he tell them? That, beginning a noun clause, this is your direct object. He would be, and now in your noun clause, it is still a clause. It still needs a subject and its own predicate. He, subject, would be, verb, absent the following week. He would be what? Absent. When? The following week. And that's your complete predicate. And the noun clause works as the direct object to told. The teacher told. And then who? His students. Okay? Hope this is all clear. Let's look at some more examples. The chairman called. Notice chairman is with a capital C. This is a title. The chairman called. So I come into the office today and I said, anything happened? Yeah, the chairman called. Oh, okay, I'll call him back. Subject, verb, enough. The chairman called who or whom? Me. The chairman called when? Last week. So SV, SVO, SVA, etc. You see all these things there. It doesn't matter what you put in there. As long as the message or the idea you want to express is complete, you have a good sentence. If something is missing, if the reader can't make connections, then you're missing something as the writer and your writing is weakened by that. The chairman called the meeting to order. Now, you have to be careful, again, with your verbs. Called means on the phone, called, or called, like shout out someone's name. Call to order, this is an expression, a collocation. Call to order means demanded quiet, demanded order in the meeting. Called for, demanded, requested. It's a phrasal verb. It's not call. Called for means asked people to come to the meeting. Called why? To request the documents. Called why? To request that the documents be sent to him. To request what? That, with noun clause. Object to request. So to request, this is your infinitive phrase, why. And then request is a transitive verb. It needs an object, noun clause, that the documents be sent to him. The document, subject of the noun clause, be sent, verb, to him. The committee chairman called. So chairman here, small c. This is a position, not a title. Committee, just an adjective. The committee chairman called. The chairman called. Same clause structure. You can add modifiers all you want. The chairman is American. You have a be verb. We have a subject complement. Now, I took this sentence as this example from a TOEFL book, actually, because sometimes what you look at are very complex sentences, and some people have a hard time putting all the different pieces together. So all you want to do is basically put all your information into simpler clauses that you can recognize: subject, predicate. The first complete American dictionary of the English language was compiled in 1828 by the lawyer and lexicographer Noah Webster, who was particularly eager to show at this time that this English spoken in America was distinct from that spoken in Britain. Put everything into simple clauses. Noah Webster was a lawyer and lexicographer. Okay? The lawyer and lexicographer, reduced clause, who was Noah Webster. Reduced clauses become phrases. Well, I'm going to make a separate video about phrases, but just understand what is happening. Now, here's your independent clause. In 1828, he compiled. So notice I changed from passive to active just to make it easier. He compiled the first complete American dictionary of the English language. Very simple. He, subject, compiled, verb, what? The first dictionary. Okay, everything else is modifiers. He was particularly eager. Okay, now who is Noah Webster, so he is a subject. Who is the subject in the original? Was particularly eager. Was, be verb, eager. That's your subject complement. He was eager. Why? Or about what? To show. To show what? Show is a transitive verb, needs an object. That, noun clause, object. The English language, that was spoken, or take out that was, we don't need it. That's a reduced clause, a clause reduced to a phrase. Separate video. Spoken America was distinct from, etc. Now, here's a more challenging one. I want you to press pause on your video player. I want you to read this sentence. This sentence I've used before in other examples. This sentence is the first sentence of the American Declaration of Independence. Very important sentence, and yet not a simple sentence. Okay, very tricky for people to understand. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. Okay? So first thing you want to know, after you've paused and looked at it, how many clauses are in this sentence, and can you identify them? Remember, every time you identify a clause, you're identifying a subject and predicate combination. And what is the main, or first of all, what is the independent clause, and what is the main subject of this sentence? Take a little time, work it through. When you're ready, press play, and I'll show you. First of all, there are 6 clauses. So now what you want to do, you just want to separate all the clauses so you can get all the information you need. Independent clause. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires. Respect is your main verb, your main subject of the whole sentence. Decent respect. So decent is a modifier, adjective. Respect to the opinions of mankind. What kind of respect? So to the opinions, this is just a phrase, a complement phrase. A decent respect requires. There's your verb. Requires is a transitive verb. It means you need an object. Requires what? That they should declare the causes. Noun clause, they, subject, should declare, verb, declare what? The causes, object. Now, which causes? Those which impel them to the separation. Now, this was written 200 years ago. They didn't really worry about which or that. Today, I would use that. Then they used which, that's fine. Which, subject, impel, verb, them, object, to the separation. Which separation? Well, the one that happens when in the course of human events, it becomes, it, subject, becomes. This whole thing is an adverb clause, when, beginning with when. It becomes necessary. Now we need a complement for one people to dissolve. It becomes necessary to dissolve and to assume. And then bands, which have connected them, which subject have connected verb, to assume among the powers, etc. This is all phrase. Which station, the one to which the laws of nature entitle them. The laws entitle, to which adjective. Object clause marker. I will make separate videos about noun clauses, adjective clauses, adverb clauses, phrases, complements, all this stuff. The key is now to take any complex sentence you find, separate it into the clauses, identify the independent, identify the dependent, and make sure you understand how everything works with everything. What are the subjects? What are their complete predicates? And then you'll be able to understand basically any sentence you come across. Okay? And that's basically it for today. Very straightforward introduction to clauses, introduction to the essential components of writing. And I will make more videos very soon just to take you all the way through to all the different types of sentences. Okay? If you have any questions about this, please ask me in the YouTube comment section and I'll be happy to answer. Please, if you like this video, please give me a like. Please subscribe to my channel. And there'll be more videos, grammar, vocab, writing tips, test tips, etc. I'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye.